All right. Well, good evening, everybody. 7 o'clock, and we have about 28 people, 29. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining me. It's so lovely to have this opportunity to paint and just hang out, and hopefully you're all chilling. I don't have any wine with me today, but maybe you do. It is Friday evening. Um, I have Mahima Sharma with me. Mahima is a student, a friend. She's a, a working professional who takes time out to do watercolors and is really, really good at it. And it's so nice to have you here with me, Mahima. Thanks for doing this. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, she's co-hosting, guys. So she will also be fielding questions and the chat box. Um, so if I miss something, she'll catch it and vice versa. So we're going to do some roosters. And I thought I'd start by showing you guys, just some playful roosters. So I highly recommend this book, guys, by the way. It's a US art supply book. I could send a link if people are interested. I found it surprisingly awesome for watercolors. Like it really holds up well, gives us a nice stable base. And even if it gets really, like I've got one or two paintings in here that are really, really water heavy, and they stood up really, the paper stands up really well. So I thought I'd show you how I usually start out with chicken if I was studying it with my class. We do some negative painting. We do some little shapes. We'll do a couple of just loose single stroke shapes, some with a bit of salt. This is sort of how we played around with it. I really like this little guy here. And I like the negative shapes. They're always fun to do. This little fellow was like a more simplified, minimalist, sort of stroke style, being very simple, which I liked. These were some other chicken, some fun chicken. Oh, thanks, Maima. So Maima's put the pictures in the chat box. I hope everybody can see that. That's awesome. Feel free to play when you paint these chicken. Just sort of be free. See this guy? It's so easy to just sort of put down a little bit of paint and make them look like chicken. I often feel like if we paint chicken or fish or just, uh, we, we we can be a little easier about it. The subject matter makes us feel like it's not too precious. We can play around a little, add some odd colors, eyeball the structure of the chicken and just have some fun with it, you take it less seriously. I often find it more fun that way. Here's this little guy. This one is a bit more of a serious rooster that I had a lot of fun painting. Let's see, what else do we have? And this was the one that we're going to do today again. So I'll be doing that slightly different style, but you already have the painting, so you guys don't need to see him again. What else? Do I have any more chicken? I don't think I have more chicken in this book. But again, I highly recommend this book. It's a nice size. I think this one is about 8 by 11. There's a few other sizes that they have. So paints wise, I remember telling people to get some sap green, ultramarine blue. Sorry, I have French ultramarine, but that's also because my stock keeps going back and forth. So, anyways, right now I have French ultramarine. I have some burnt sienna, and let's see, Pyrrole scarlet in place of cadmium red because I ran out. Yes, this happens. And some Indian red. You don't have to have these colors. You can have some combination. I also have some yellow, but I put down some quinacridone gold instead, mostly because, again, as I asked everybody if they, I mean, I put it in the email saying that if you have some cadmium yellow, you can bring that. But it turns out my cadmium yellow has really been depleted. I have some in my palette, and then I put in an extra dab of quinacridone gold. I hope everybody can see the drawing ever so slightly. There's just a very light pencil line. That's just to help me because I have to draw this while I'm talking to you guys and I don't want to completely screw up. But we'll do a couple of quick, the image I sent you guys with these hen and the chicken they look like they're on a mission. Yeah, they're all running. We'll just, how about we just doodle with that for a few minutes? Okay, so for example, the guy over here, if you can see him, let's see, is he visible? Yes, he is right there. He's the white, it's like a rooster to me, but whatever. People who know that chicken, hen, and roosters, I believe the thing under the neck is called a wattle. Am I correct? And I'd love for anybody to chime in and tell us the different parts. It'd be so nice. How do you get that lovely white hen to pop, right? And I'm going to use a little bit of blue that I have on the palette, just any old blue will do. In this case, I was thinking, since I said ultramarine, I'm using a little bit of the ultramarine. And I'm bringing in a touch of burnt sienna. You doing okay, Mahima?
Yeah,
How's it going for you? Yeah. So did we do roosters in class? Did you also do that with
we
me?
did, but I think we did them very freestyle, like without even
Ah,
drawing.
oh, that's right. That's right. We did a whole direct watercolor session. That was fun. Um, all right. So let's see. If I wanted to just quickly doodle this guy in, I have a pencil sketch, but I'm just going to do a quick, small little doodle. Let's see. So I like to do this often, guys, because if I do it this way, then I'm doing a lot more direct observation. And so it's just a quick little wash. So I hope people will have some fun also and not just get caught up in the details. Try and get the shape a little bit because the shape can matter. And I love to squint. I know people who are in my classes know that about me because that's how I can find all the darks and lights, right? It's a very standard way to figure out. Um, all right, let's see. His foot is in the back and there's one in the front. And I think I should wet this edge a little bit. It'll be more fun. So I'm just gonna wet that edge, put some, there we go. A little bloom is always fun. I know it's considered like no, but I love a little bloom. It makes so much, makes everything more fun. All right, and now into a little bit of that lovely Pyrrole Scarlet. And I'm just gonna go in right here, bleed it in, not bothered about how it looks, etc. Just sort of create a little shape there. Yeah, there's your little head starting to come to life, eh? And how do I make the negative shape behind his back? So I'm going to go in with some green. I'm not going to draw the other guy, but I have some sap green and such here. And I'm just going to mix up a little nice rich green. And let's just do a negative shape where the black hen is. So I'm going to sort of bring this in, just sort of, okay, there we go. That's the main part of the body. So let me just make sure that I get a bit of a shape. And then very quickly, while everything is nice and wet, just go in, have some fun there. All right, let's see. I should probably do a slightly different negative shape there right by the head. And what else? Guys, anybody have any questions at this point? Are we painting or just watching? Denise, good question. Sorry, I thought maybe it was understood, but please feel free to paint. Absolutely. That's the fun. And if you feel like doing it your style, please do. I think that's really important that we all trust our own way of painting. So I'm just like a support person here. I'm sort of doing my thing. Some people like to really watch and not paint, and that's fine too. So guys, I hope you can see that when I had that little accident here just now where the green paint went into the body, that's just because I didn't wait long enough. So that happens. All right, just going in, mixing this up. I'll probably get some blooms, but because it's all foliage, I think that's fine. All right, let's see. Just put some stuff here like this. Just have some fun with it. All right. I'm gonna lift some of that paint that I got in there, take a little bit of honey consistency. And for those of you who have attended before or watched my stuff or are in my classes, I use this term often, which is tea, milk, and honey. Just an easy way to explain how saturated your paint needs to be. And I have a little bit of, you can use some raw sienna or yellow, just use a little bit of yellow even. So the best part about this kind of playfulness is that if you don't have the exact yellow I'm using, it's okay. Just, use whatever you have. The chicken won't mind. He's happy. He's happy to be painted any which way. This is more about being playful, learning a couple of steps along the way, hopefully, and feeling like you got some painting done today. It's nice, right? Start the weekend with some painting. All right, let's see. Now, behind this fat, lovely fat, what is this? Like a wing? Is a very strong fat wing. I believe this goes like this, probably behind him. And I'm just going to assume that there's a little bit of a shadow happening there. And it looks like there's a bit of a shadow there. So, oops, there's a bit of a shadow there. So let's see if I can get that back a little bit. All right, there we go. So I'm just going to do this and add a bit of a blue. All right, guys, time to get going with the main guy. So I'm just going to put a couple more. I hope you people are enjoying this and just seeing that it's a lot of easy painting, no stress, okay? I'm going to put down a tiny bit of that quinacridone gold as one of his legs there, and then another one here. And there you have it, little fat guy. All right. Sometimes it's nice to bring in a touch of fresh ultramarine, in this case ultramarine, but in other cases other colors, but just to bring it in and have some fun with this. And just add, if you ever feel like adding some color, don't be afraid to, is my point. It may or may not work, but I like to do it. I find often that if I add a little extra color, there's no harm. There we go. All right, gonna let that guy dry. Hope you guys can see it. And also, I think everybody's doing fine. Okay, there we go. So I don't need to keep an eye on things, I think. Any other questions? Let's see. Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, Camilla and Karina, I hope you guys got the images. Mahima has just posted them again. They are in the email that the Arts Council sent you guys, in case you're looking in email. All right, I am now switching to the main image. I hope you're all having fun. Please do give a shout out if you are finding something challenging or have questions. All right, with this main guy, I want to switch to my long round. I did say in the email I was going to use it. I also said bring a crayon. All right, what if, okay, this is the fun part of this. This is why I like doing chicken. They don't care. I don't care. We're having fun. I'm just going to put some strokes down. Now, I do have a pencil drawing. Some of you may be wondering, hey, Hema got a head start. Well, I am doing a demo, and so I got to kind of have something going here. But I want to show you something. If you put the eye down here and you figure out that the beak is over here, let's say about this much, okay? Just watch the head shape. You'll see that there's always connecting lines when we are drawing animals, actually humans too. There's always connecting lines behind something. So when you connect lines and start to find the underlying structure, you'll find the drawing going a lot easier and sort of, just makes everything so much more easy to understand. And it also helps with, I don't know, getting your pencil lines in place. You can always erase them if you don't want too many pencil lines while doing a watercolor. Just erase them. And if you can, please avoid using your hands. Just sort of brush it out of the way like so. Okay.
Hema, there's a question. Were we supposed to sketch this ahead of time?
Oh, no, Denise, I'm sorry, no. Like I said, the only reason I have my sketch ready is because it makes it a little easier for me to talk and have something already here. You can take your time, draw him, watch the video, enjoy chatting, and I mean, not chatting, but enjoy painting and chatting if you have questions. But I need this structure just so I can show you some of the techniques that you're going to be using. I hope that helps, Denise. So I'm taking this crayon, guys, and I don't need to put any up here. And that's the white tail. The reason I don't have to is because I can control that fairly easily with the brush. But right in here, if you see this area here, I guess it's the main body part, there's these lovely brown lines, like feathery lines. They're the markings on the feather and on the feathers. If you squint your eyes at that, you're going to notice that if you put down a couple of little dashes almost with your crayon in the direction that you see those brown lines going in, it will add a nice level of texture. And it'll act as resist, obviously. And I'm adding some in even in this main section right here, yeah, by the neck. And I think that's all. I just wanted to give you guys because I haven't done this before in any of my monthly free sessions. So I just thought it'd be fun to give you guys that to play with. There we go. Now, it is hard to see the crayon. If I lift this ever so slightly, maybe there's if I get a glimmer of light on it, I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm trying, but I guess maybe right there, maybe you can see a bit of a shine on it. And so, let's see. All right. Time to start painting it. Is the light okay for everybody? I hope everything's seen and visible. Okay, so images are there with people and everybody's happy. That's good. Okay, moving on. I would like to now start the painting. And I thought, what if I started with this area since you guys, we just put the crayon down. It's a good time to just start with that. Now, I mixed up a little bit of ultramarine and burnt sienna earlier, and I'm going to use the same mixture. It's a nice gray. In fact, it's a classic gray. If you put burnt sienna and ultramarine together, you get this beautiful gray, and you can tune it warmer by adding more burnt sienna, or tune it cooler by adding ultramarine. So I'm just gonna get some paint on my brush. And here, I'm just gonna make a little swatch here so you guys can see this. But here you go. That's my color. There we go. Looks a little darker than it is actually. So just saying. Okay, and right in here, I know I had this lovely wax resist going on. So this is a nice place to sort of bring in some grays, if you see what I mean. And the gray is actually the shadow on the white feathers. So it's sort of a mix now. As you can see, I'm getting it a little lighter. And I'm going to come back in with those brown lines a little later. So let's see if you guys can see this. There we go. I really like this. This is fun. Okay. So just doing a few lines, getting some in. Now, if you feel like it's too much and the wax is holding some of the paint, you can just dab and pick it up, yeah? But now you have some amount of shadow put in, and when that's dry, we'll put in the brown lines and you'll have a nice little part of the body done. I just wanted to give this a slightly sharper outline. And I'm going to use some of that lovely burnt sienna and create these little strokes here. Maybe even try some burnt sienna and ultramarine mix like you did just now, but make it a little thicker and add a little bit of red in it. And you get this beautiful, almost like Indian red, which is one of my favorite colors. You can make it. You don't always have to buy all the paints. So let's see if I can make this nice and subdued. There we go. There we go. A little bit of a volume to that fat leg. All right. Now, all right, a little pale Indian red here, just to add some texture on that leg. And have you
Hey,
seen the
Hema?
claws on these things? Yeah, tell me.
Susan's asking if you can tilt the paper again for the wax.
Oh, sure. All right, let's see if I can do this without making this drip. I'm gonna have to pick this up so it doesn't drip. All right, let's see. Let's see. I don't know if that's possible anymore because the paint is now on there. There. Well, basically it's dashes. Wherever you see the resist now, that's the dash. That's where I mark. Like this white mark here, that's a mark because of that's the paint going around the wax. So that should help you a little bit now. And there's a couple of wax marks over here. I'm using the wax in place of the white feathers, but not so much that it's like a solid mass of white. It's more like a little dappling. Yeah, a dappling is the way I would describe it. And that dappling allows us to reserve some of the white. All right, onwards. So I really want to tackle the lovely neck. And as you remember, I put in some white here. Now to make that beautiful, warm, rich brown, you can go in with Indian red if you have it. But since I did not want to ask for a color that most people don't have, I have a mix here of a very lovely cadmium red-like color, which is Pyrrole Scarlet. But you can use cadmium red, mix it with the burnt sienna, and then just add a touch of the ultramarine, and you get this lovely rich color. See this? You can make it a little richer. Let me try making it just a tad stronger. There we go. See that? It's a beautiful, oh, it's getting too strong in that, but you'll see when the light adjusts, you'll see the color. Yeah, there we go. All right, on to this neck. I'm not gonna wet this. I'm actually gonna go wet on dry. So let's see if I can get this going. All right, I have a nice sharp point to this brush. This is one of my favorite brushes. It's the long round pointed. It's just called the long round. It's by Princeton. It's a velvet touch. I just love it. It gives me so much control. But I can also, create, I can carry a lot of paint with this, which I really love. Okay, now if you notice, there's lots of little feathery lines there. And I like to just get my feathery lines. I think a bird is nothing without its feathers, right? So here, the same color can be used to create some lines here if you want. We'll come back to it, but that's what will happen eventually. All right, let's get going. I'm going to put some burnt sienna only on the side, not with the red, and that makes a little more brown, and which is the color that we have here. And if you see that, you can just start to lay it down right by, I believe, what's called the wattle. All right, I'm going to see how wide I want to do this. I think I had the neck all the way there. Not sure. Sometimes when the drawing starts to fade on you, you have to sort of readjust, recalibrate. That happens a lot. All right, let's see. A little bit of an angle here, bring it down. And you want to try and keep this area wet. You don't want to lose all of it. So I have a bead here, which means that the bottom part of this line that I'm painting with has got a lot of moisture in it. Now, the way I want to do this is I have now removed some of the paint from my brush, and I'm just sort of feathering this. So I'm bringing it down in these very thin lines. And oops.
Yeah, what paint are you using for what you're doing right now?
The brand, is that what they mean?
The color.
Oh, it's a mix of, no, this one is just pure burnt sienna, guys.
Okay.
Just pure burnt sienna. Yeah, sorry, I didn't know if it was your question or somebody else's, Mahima. So here you go. Now, the angle of brush strokes when you're doing a bird's feathers is sort of crucial because that's what makes or breaks. It won't be as believable if they go, this way. So just follow the bird's angles, and you will find yourself being able to do this well. I'm adding a slightly darker value up here, just under the wattle, just so that it will naturally merge into this. Here's a simple trick. If you want to lift something, if you want to add some light back in, just go in, press a little hard with the tip of your brush, and then just release it. And you can bring back a little bit of light if you've lost it. or you just want to add a bit more, interest there. Okay, I'm just going to leave it at this stage because now I want to do some reverse. I want to do some negative painting right by that darkest part here, guys. So if you see that, this part, it's a really rich color. So let's mix that up again. Burnt sienna and ultramarine, but really bring in some of that cadmium red and mix it up, and you get this beautiful rich brown. Bring in a bit more of the burnt sienna, and look at this beautiful color. See, like almost like chocolatey. Here, let me see if I can get the light to do it better justice. It's like a purple chocolate brown. It's just beautiful. So, negative painting time. We have a little tuft here. Right where the white tail starts, there's a little white tuft that's sort of sweet. I'm gonna see if I can keep that. All right, nice sharp strokes here, guys. And as you can see, some are going to be at these angles because that bird is curved, like has a really nice, I think as my daughter used to say, a booty, really nice booty. Okay, so let's get this feathery awesomeness. I want this to become a little darker, in fact, so I'm bringing in a bit more burnt sienna, but I'm just gonna streak it in. And I think you can also, if you want to just create some angles, you can see that resist working really nicely for me. I hope y'all can see how it's sort of pushing away some of the paint I put down. So see here, same thing, it's just pushing it away. See that? All right, I know it looks almost black. It is so not black, guys. So let me get this light going a bit better. And you'll see that it's a rich brown. It's not black. I know it looks very dark on the screen right now. Maybe it also has to do with the color calibration.
That's
Okay, I'm
the
now,
Hema, that's the burnt sienna with ultramarine.
yeah, the darkest dark rich brown thing that I made is a mix of cadmium red
Yep.
with burnt sienna
Mhm.
and ultramarine.
Okay.
So it is a mix. It's not a direct, it's not just those first two that I said, which was the burnt sienna and the ultramarine. You have to add, yeah, you have to add the cadmium red for it to. All right, and now I'm going to bring in a little bit more cadmium red just for some fun, bring some glinty lights into this. Now, again, guys, this has so much to do with the angle of the stroke that I'm turning my paper to make it easier for me. And this is always a good thing to do. If you find yourself struggling with stroke, it might just be that your wrist needs a little support, like mine does. And that all that means is just that you, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's all right. Not too bad. Let's see. And then this goes up there. I also think this shape is not quite perfect, but I'm going to try and correct that over there. There we go. Okay. Next up, while this dries and I get a little bit of space from it, I'm going to go into the head. All right, let's get this head over here. All right, now when I use this Pirol red, I know I wrote cadmium red, I ran out, but I have Pirol red. I'm going to mix in a little bit of my alizarin crimson, which I did not mention, but if you have any dark red that works, try that, or bring in a little bit of ultramarine and you can create a nice deep red. So right now, because I have to stick by what I said, I'm going to use no ultramarine, actually. I just corrected myself. I'm just going to use the cadmium red and a touch of ultramarine blue, and I get this color. So I get this. Okay, it does look a little red, but it's not showing up on the camera. All right, I'm going to have to struggle with that a little bit. Let's see. I think we need a rather cold red, so crimson would have been better, but I think I was also in the email I did not mention it, so my bad. But that's okay. Here. So now, do you see how the wattle has bits of white in it? So I want to just go in with like this technique that I love to do, where I use the point of the brush to create this, like I use it at an angle at the side, and I go in like this and this, and I can actually go in and clean up some of this, bring in maybe a touch of blue even, because there's a bit of this coldness to it. And leave some white dots in there. It'll be pretty, I promise, if you do that. And there we go. I feel like we need this to go a little higher, so I'm just gonna add that in. All right, and as I'm going through the face, you'll notice that I'm leaving bits of white. I would rather reserve the white and have it so I can come back to it than not, because in the face, there may be a couple of marks that I need to get, with some more clarity or something. If there's a little bit of white in there, it'll also show that the skin is sort of, what's the right word? Mahima, what would you call that skin there? Oh my God, the
The
skin
beak
is,
or
no,
the
see the skin around, like this face skin?
flappy?
Like it's flappy. It's got like this, I don't know. It's got a touch of
Texture,
texture. That's it. That simple word was eluding me.
like
All right.
rib texture, kind of.
Ribbed. Exactly. Exactly. So I love that we can bring some of that in by just doing this. Like just leave little bits of white. And you can get a lot of texture in that way. Now, I know it doesn't quite look connected and done right now, but that brown line, we're going to touch it with a much darker color here once the red is dry. So a lot of times in watercolor, you just have to wait. You got to get a few things in and trust that it's all going to look good later. Doesn't look good all at once. And as my students sometimes find out, they really are excited. They want to finish the painting, but sometimes you just have to just want to wait. It's best to wait. All right, let's go back into this guy's body. I feel like this mass here has to be increased a bit. So I'm just going to go in again with a dark color, but this time maybe a little more water in my brush. Just going to put some strokes here. Okay, and looks like he has a few feathers that are like so, that kind of curved shape. So I'm going to do that. Also, do you see that lovely brown spot? I'm going to use a tiny touch of raw sienna. If you have yellow ochre, that works equally well. Find a color that basically does this. So you could bring in some yellow into the orange, into the reds, and see if you can get that color. I'm going to try this sort of ochre wash here. And just sort of leave a few bits of whites. It's a very dry brush technique style. I'm going to show the colors again a little bit. People can see the colors, hopefully. Okay. And you can bring in a bit of red, just sort of, make it interesting there. Yeah. Okay. There's a little bit that I did not finish in when we were doing this part, which is I wanted a little bit of a yellow cast stroke here in the, I know it's not very visible, probably on the camera, it may not even be visible much, but it's nice to have a bit more of a transitional stroke here. So I'm just going in and bringing in some more marks. That's all. And remember that lovely gray we had? Well, I think that gray needs to continue up here. So I'm just gonna bring it in here. There we go. A lot of these areas, when they dry, they're gonna look fairly flat. And when they look flat, you wanna bring back in some texture, some color. So we'll do that, yeah? There we go. In there. There's another underlying color of some amount of red, I feel. So I'm just gonna bleed in some warm strokes there. Maybe some burnt sienna in there, just so that the whites within that area are a little covered, because I don't think it needs that much white. There we go. And a couple more strokes there. Okay. I think we should do a bit of the tail, right? Now, to do the tail, we're going to imagine that that guy is in the background. Let's imagine that there's more green here so that we can actually connect these two, put them in the same picture plane. So I'm going to go in with some of my green, slightly different, maybe deeper color. Maybe I'll put in just a touch of ultramarine. The nice thing about working with a limited color palette is that you get more color harmony that way. So this is a good thing. All right, guys. So now we're working negative painting. Now imagine that we're actually putting him and this guy in the same picture plane. And if you look at the main photo where this guy comes from, we have, some nice foliage and whatnot. So I'm just going to leave some white around the other guy, but I have to work fairly rapidly so that I can come back in while the line is still dry. I hope that makes sense to people. There we go. Now, if you remember, I had said I would use a mop, and this is exactly the time when you use a mop. You get more color, and you start to lay it down with this nice fat mop that I have here. This is a Casaneo, which is a expensive brush, which I don't buy such expensive brushes usually. So believe me, I use even Princeton sometimes can be quite expensive. So you just have to sort of go with whatever works for you. Don't worry about. Yeah, I'm just gonna put some dots and dashes here so that it looks like a connected background. Maybe put some couple of dots and things there. And now time to put in some more colors here. So this time I'm just gonna go in with some greens. I love mixing up my greens. It's always fun bringing in some reds or greens or whatever, like, just play around with this. But the main thing is to get that negative painting going there so that you can come back in and put some feathery strokes, and you will have very, very pretty blue, sorry, like a shadowy feathers, like in that tail. So, all right, I'm just gonna put in some darks here, as though there's some darks coming up here, and some darks here, and the just whatever you feel. All right, and I want a really dark color behind this guy's red wattle. So I'm mixing up some of the sap green, the ultramarine, whatever greens you have, just sort of play around with it. You could use a nice pointy brush and switch out now at this point, but I'm just gonna continue because I have a lot of paint on this brush of mine. All right, there we go. Nice clean stroke. Right, and get the beak. And just remember, like when you're doing all of this, just you want to make sure that everything else is sort of nice and smooth. You don't want to have. I'm just going to go back in here and just create some nice texture so it all looks like it's one scene. All right, coming back in here, and if you remember, I had a bluish outline at some point. I am bringing in, as you can see, lots and lots of different greens. And if you bring in some quinacridone gold, it does this magical thing, which if any of you want to buy some paints, I highly recommend getting some quinacridone gold because it does this beautiful. There you go. Let me show it to you. If you take a little bit of quinacridone gold, mix it up with some water, and come into the greens, like say for over here or here, it'll push the other pigments aside and create this lovely texture. So do that. Another one that I love to use is green apatite or genuine, whatever it's called, green genuine apatite, I think. It's a Daniel Smith color. Lots and lots of colors to try in watercolor. All right, there we go. So, right, now as we get down here, same thing. I don't want to change up the green too much. I want to just pretend like the sky is all in green because for the purposes of tonight's class, it's best to keep all of this. And why don't we pretend there's a tree over here since we're at it. So we'll come back and put in that nice little tree or something. All right. Let's see. Some negative painting would be nice here, I guess. So let's put some negative painting in there and pretend like there's a whole bunch of bushes or something growing down there. Oh, what about this side, right? So I'm going to bring in a bit of the blue, some more of the sap green, and right around here. So we have this sky. We have to be careful because we have a whole bunch of feathers that we have to account for. I'm just going back and forth so that I get that lovely loose action that we need when we have feathers. And you can leave a little extra white if you want. It doesn't matter. We can always come back in and add some green, right? So I'm just going to pretend like this guy is walking. Yeah, we never got to the other fellow, but I think I took on more than I can chew as usual. So there we go. Right,
Hey, Hema,
yeah.
Robin asked, what color green are you using? I know
Yeah.
you said it. If you repeat it, I'll type it in the chat for everyone.
Well, thank you so much. So it's you can use a combination. I have a combination here going on. It's sap green, SAP, sap, and then we have ultramarine blue mixed into the quinacridone gold because those are also two of the colors that I have. I also have some viridian green, which is this really lovely bright green that we can dip into, and most palettes have it, which is why I think of it as a standard color. I hope that helps. Give me a second. I want to quickly do some negative painting here just so that I can create some nice textures, though this birdie is standing in the middle of a nice big field. All right, so there we have it. Now, time to do that lovely tail. I'm so excited. I love painting white. I just feel like painting white in watercolor is just magic. So take some ultramarine. Please dilute it. Make it very, very pale. Bring it down to, let me show you this color right here. So, and please notice the direction of these feathers. It's really important because without the direction, you don't get any of that magic. So it's important to keep some of the lines, some extra attention to the textures, and a very pale ultramarine will be more than enough to create. Now, remember I was saying that if you left a little bit more green, a little bit more white space, it's fine. That's because you can go in with a little bit of green and do this little magic here. So you can just sort of, bring it in a little bit so that you can pretend like there's more feathers between, just like so. Yeah. All right. Now going back to that lovely pale ultramarine, I feel like a little bit of a shadow will work well. So just creating a little bit of a gray for some parts. So, and maybe a little bit here. I feel like I leaked in some green, guys. That does happen. So just quickly pick that up because you do not want any green in those feathers. I must have had a tiny bit on my brush and I had to clean my brush really well to get it out. And now it's out. And now I have my lovely pale blue again on my brush. And I'm going to just sort of randomly, there are some random feathers that are going in the opposite direction. So I'm just sort of playing around, making sure I give a sense of movement, lots of feathers, a bit of a mess even because I feel like it couldn't possibly be perfect, like it's not combed or something. So it's going to have some amount of, there we go. I hope that helps people and gives you a sense. Now, if you notice that that green is just not dark enough in there, so I'm just going to leak in a little bit. You don't have to do much. You just leak it in and let the paint do its own job. So it'll add a little bit of contrast, and then leak in the same color here, so it can make the eye read it as part of the same background. Yeah, something like that. All right. What else do we need? Oh yes, this part. All right, let's get some burnt sienna and red. And actually, just burnt sienna will do nicely. A little bit of ultramarine just to darken it up. And you have a nice dark brown. And now this time I'm using honey consistency, which just means that the pigment is very strong. Lots of paint on my brush, thicker than the rest of the times. And this way I just get these lovely little strokes, so. And I'm not being particular about like exactly where they are. I'm putting them in randomly. It's fine. It'll read like this particular bird. That's all you care about, really. And now do you see that there's these lovely strokes that are slightly darker here? That adds a nice texture, brings in more definition to the edges here. So let's just do that, yeah. Meanwhile, it looks like I got my green a little like overshot and put too much white here, and I really don't want the hen to be that fat. And I also want to create a darker line here so that his belly can be a little more. There we go. I'm just going to add some plants here as though there's stuff happening. And that way you can get a nice continuous feeling of foliage or whatever this stuff the hen is standing in. And the same color over here because I want to create a bit of a volume for the hen and for the rooster. And for that, I just want to have a deep dark color that then acts like a nice contrast that also makes that hen look a little more like rounder. Does that make sense? I hope people can see that. And then we just put some texture here, going up to this little guy here, running in the other direction. And we just put some texture, have some fun. I hope you can see all of it, sort of. I probably have to pull my camera up a bit, but hopefully you guys can see most of this. Let's see. The legs are fairly hidden, so I'm not going to be too concerned with that, but I'm making like a kind of brown peachy color. The lovely thing in watercolor is that if you just go over what you have already put down and you glaze it, you get this beautiful extra enjoyment. So for example, now over this area, I'm going to put down a few blue strokes, which means touch of ultramarine, dilute it big time, and just sort of put in a few strokes. And you'll feel immediately a certain, see that? That just picks it up so much, right? Even though there's no blue in the picture, but it's fun to do that. You can soften it if you want by adding a little bit of water. So you can do that, just soften it. I feel like this area still needs a little something. So I'm just going in, looking at the time, it's 7:50. How are people doing? I hope people are having fun with this and are, enjoying having some fun with roosters tonight.
Hey,
How's it going for you?
Wendy asked if you can adjust the painting to see the whole thing.
Yes, I will. That's a great point. Thanks, Wendy. I will do that. Just give me 1 second. I want to add some more softness there. And there we go. All right, let's see. I think that's good. All right. Oh, guys, one last thing. Remember up here, I had said that I would do a couple of small adjustments. Yeah, let me just quickly do that, and then I will adjust the camera. I have a dark brown color now. And we never got him his eye, so he kind of needs and deserves an eye, right? But remember those strokes I was saying that if you just add a couple of strokes on top, it'll create all this movement that you couldn't possibly achieve in that first wash. So just sort of, play around now and do it. Now, if I take a little bit of ultramarine, make a really dark color, and if you bring this in here, like so, it creates a bit of a nice shadow. And I think the guy deserves a little bit of a shadow there so that it looks like it's a little thick and not flat. Let's see, a little bit of red to bring in some ripples, I guess, or I don't know, some kind of a texture that he has in there. And the eye, oh, I forgot the eye. Okay, so I'm just using a bit of, you can even use burnt sienna, it's fine. Just use something really, really dark. And all you need to do is create a tiny dot and just sort of, just do something like that. He has a pretty red eye. So I'm just making a little wash with red and kind of going around. And if you notice, there's a couple more washes required here to just, if you remember, I said that I might have to add back in a couple of lines. Well, here are those lines right around his eyes. He's got all these like textures. So let's just bring in a bit of that. And definitely a slightly darker value right by his, like if you squint, you'll see it. Just squint at this thing and you'll see that there's a bit of a deeper shadow there. Yeah, I think I'm gonna let him go for now. I think there's a slight dark line right here. So we're just gonna put that in, just a tad. Okay. All right, time to adjust the camera. Like I think it was Wendy who asked. Let me get the camera adjusted. So it just means, give me 1 second. Okay, just a little tiny adjustment. Mahima, if you can tell me if it's visible, please. I'm trying
No,
to see
I
it
think
in
we're
mine.
missing the feet.
The feet.
There we go.
Okay, is that better, guys? I think the feet, yeah, the feet are pretty much ending right there. But then you need to see all of him. So, all right. Do you guys remember that I said I'll do a tree? Well, what if we do? What if we just bring that tree in a little bit? I think a nice ultramarine mixed with some burnt sienna, something dark, and just sort of, just so we can. Something like that on the side, something dark. In the grass at the bottom of the roosters. Okay, so this color here is basically a very rich dark green. You could bring in ultramarine and the sap green and you'll get a nice dark one. You can bring in ultramarine and the quinacridone gold and make a dark green. You can use viridian green, which is standard green that you can find in most places, in most color palettes. And I think we still have about 7 minutes. And I see there's this very strong white line that I've left here right on top, like a weird antenna. So I'm going to just cover that up a little bit with some green. And if I do that, then that means I have to put some other strokes there so it doesn't look strange. So we'll just pretend like those are leaves from the tree or something. And there's some stuck, texture there on the top. Yeah, there we go. So if you want to see the whole thing, which I'm trying so hard, but I don't want to move the camera anymore because I might lose focus. I hope this helps. That is literally the bottom of the rooster's leg. The only thing I feel like I didn't quite achieve, and maybe I still can, is to add a slight warm value right here. Because there's this little bit of a division required there. And maybe yellow is not the best color. You could bring in some warmth, make it something a little more warm, but just something to add that lift, you know. Sometimes the only way you can get curvature is by adding a darker line underneath. Otherwise, you just don't get it, you know. So just add something there so you feel a bit of a lift in the body there. And I don't know if anybody else sees this, but a bit more of a blue wash here will not go remiss. It's fine. So it's good, in fact, to add a bit of a shadow there. So I'm just going to do that. I think I added a bit more wax there in the corner, and so it's resisting. It's all right though. I like this little pale guy in the back. It's a good warm up to this. Mahima, do you feel like sharing yours by any chance? Do you want to?
Yeah, I can.
Yay. Okay, hang
Give
on.
me 1
I am
second.
going to see if I can make this a picture. Go to Mahima. Mahima, is your video on?
It's not. I'm gonna try to do it through my phone. I'll join through
Oh,
my phone so I can just share.
um, okay.
Never mind.
I
It
just don't
won't
know if
work
I'll
that way.
find you.
Let
I just
me
have to.
turn my video on and try this way. Let's see.
Hey, there you go.
Hello.
Let me pin you.
Let's
Okay,
go.
guys, this is Mahima. That came out great. Hey,
Yeah,
that's
I
right. Just bring it a little
struggle.
closer. Yeah, just bring it a little closer so we can see a bit more detail. Apologies to my dog. Oh, that's lovely. Really nice. You got the shape right. You got a lot of volume in the guy. He's got like a nice fat body, which is what we were hoping for.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
working on the Canson paper. So I found I struggled with the green because it just dries so fast.
Yes, yes, I hear you on that.
And the brush strokes touch different. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's I'm not
Yes.
used to working on this paper.
Yes, I hear you. So Canson, guys, is a perfectly lovely paper to work with. You know, so I'm gonna switch it back to mine. Remove pin. Is that right? Nope, nope, did it wrong. All right. Add a pin. How do I have no idea how to do this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Any other questions? We can only see whoever is
Uh,
talking.
so I think Jean asked what colors are in the grass at the bottom of the roosters? And
Right.
that
I
was
think I answered that, but it's
yeah.
basically this green here is a very dark green. I mixed it up with ultramarine and sap. I mixed it up with a bit of viridian green. So just bring in any dark green that you have will do. If you want to darken it, you add a bit more ultramarine, or if you want to add black, go right ahead. It's just a few tiny strokes, just to give it a sense of drama right by the feet, kind of bring it downward and have this negative, just for fun. Really, it was more about the rooster than the background.
Yeah.
Um,
Nima, Karina asked, if there's time, can you explain what you mean by negative? Is it the background?
oh, excellent point. So, Karina, the negative painting here is this. Let me show you what I mean. So, if I was painting some kind of greenery or, you know, I don't know, something, and if I do this, all right, so just see what happens now. I'm creating a shape for, let's say, grass, and I'm leaving a white line. That would be your negative painting, which means that you're creating a form and a shape reverse. The other way to paint would be to actually paint the grass, which would be this. So instead of doing that, you are sort of doing the reverse and creating the background or the negative space and creating a form. Perylene green is really nice and dark. Yes, I agree. Oh, Indian throne blue. I know. I just don't work with Indian throne blue, but I should. Can you explain what I mean by negative? Yes, I hope that helped. And what else? Throw away the Canson paper. My good friend Anne Kupelas is on today. She's an amazing watercolorist and art teacher. So I highly recommend you guys go check her out. She's on Insta and so on. And I agree with Anne in general. Canson paper really is not the best for watercolor at all. But I do realize, you know, budgetary constraints and such. And I often say that if you're going to use Canson, in my class, I often keep scraps of arches just so that students can test it and understand what it feels like and know why on Canson paper they cannot sometimes get certain effects that I get easily on my arches. So that way, hopefully, by the time they're done with that one book of cats, they are ready to invest. I agree with you, Anne, though. I completely agree with you. She's mentioning in chat that it's just her humble opinion, but really it's the truth. Arch paper, like in this case, I'm using Saunders today, which I happen to have some lovely stash of. I would say that Arches is excellent. And you take some time to get into it. So if you can at least test some arches out, get a small swatch or get a sample range of papers, just test it out and you'll see the difference and understand why it's considered one of the best for watercolors. Okay, just drawing in that thin line for the beak. I'm not particularly happy with his head today, but I had a lot of fun with his body. I really liked this. And he can take a beating. That's right. Susan just said that. So that's very true. I'd rather buy arches in Starbucks. I agree, Anne, 100%. I hope everybody had fun. It is 8 o'clock and I do have to stop the recording soon. Mahima, thank you so much for being with me and supporting everything. I hope you had fun, Mahima, and it wasn't all just work. The painting was good. I think Mahima is muted right now, so I cannot. Oh, there you are.
Sorry, I was just saying, yeah, it was fun. I like doing these sessions.
Yay. Yay. And guys, if you notice this just before you go, I'll show you what I'm not happy with. Like this area here could have done with a couple more dark strokes. And I lost a tiny bit of white there. These things happen and you do the best you can with it. I'm so glad you guys enjoyed. I hope it was fun. Look for that email that we'll send out with a video link and hopefully with some, I think I had mentioned a particular pigment. Was it green genuine whatever that one? I think one of them. I'm gonna send you a link to the paint. All right. You're all so welcome. I'm gonna sign out now because I have to stop the recording. Take care. We'll send a picture of the painting as well. All right. Bye. Thanks, Mahima.
Thank
I'll
you.
close the thing now. All right. Yeah. And I'll see you all next time.